You know, it's in your chocolate, your shampoo, even your instant noodles. Palm oil is literally one of the most common ingredients on the entire planet. But the story of how it actually gets from a tropical tree into your shopping cart, well, that's a whole saga of science, patience, and some seriously incredible precision. So let's dive in and unravel the journey of this agricultural marvel. Everything, and I mean everything we're about to talk about, leads to this one moment. Just look at the skill right here. A harvester using a crazy long pole is carefully cutting down a fresh fruit bunch that can weigh as much as a small kid. That single bunch, that's the payoff for a process that started decades ago. It's a commitment to this one tree that's going to last for its entire 25-year productive life.
So, yeah, how do you even get to this point? A super productive tree that you can harvest every 10 days, year after year. Well, to understand that, we have to go all the way back to the very beginning, to the blueprint of the palm itself, the seed. Okay, so it all starts with a seed. But listen, this isn't just any old seed you can find lying around. The success of a multi-billion-dollar global industry rests on getting the genetics of this tiny little embryo absolutely perfect.
The thing is, almost all commercially grown oil palms aren't some natural variety you'd find in the wild. Nope. They're a specific hybrid, totally engineered for maximum yield. And this is the single most important decision a grower will ever make. It literally dictates the economic potential of their land for the next quarter of a century. No pressure, right? So this right here, this is the genetic puzzle that early breeders were trying to solve. On one side, you've got the Dura variety. It has this super thick, tough shell, which is great for protection, but it means there's less room for the valuable oil-producing flesh. Then, on the other side, you've got Piscifera. It has no shell and tons of that oily flesh, but, and this is a huge but, it's often sterile, so it doesn't even produce any fruit. It's like a choice between low yield or no yield. So what do you do? The solution? Well, it was pure genius. You cross them. Scientists figured out that if you take a Dura mother palm and cross it with pollen from a Piscifera father palm, you get the absolute best of both worlds. The result is a hybrid called the Tenera.
And the Tenera is the undisputed superstar of the palm world, and for good reason. It has a nice thin shell, which means way more room for that valuable oil-rich flesh, the part botanists call the mesocarp. This perfect combo leads to a way, way higher oil yield per bunch, which is exactly why the Tenera hybrid became the engine of the entire modern industry.
So once you have your perfect little super seed, the journey is really just beginning. You can't just throw this precious genetic package into the ground. The next phase is one of the most delicate, raising these seedlings in a super controlled nursery environment for almost a whole year.
And this whole process is incredibly meticulous. After the seed sprouts, the tiny seedling spends its first few months in a little bag. Once it has 4 or 5 leaves, it gets carefully moved to a much larger bag, and it's going to spend another 7 to 8 months there, being watered, fertilized, and basically protected like a newborn. It's only after about a year of this intensive care that it's finally strong enough to face the big, wide world of the plantation.
And this isn't just some abstract process. For growers, especially the small-scale farmers, this phase is loaded with financial risk. This quote from a Malaysian farmer really brings it home. "I had to replace 900 of my palms that died. It's a factor of capital. It's a lot of money to replace them." You can just feel it. Every single seedling that's lost is a year of hard work and a big investment right down the drain.
When planting day finally comes, every little detail matters. The hole has to be dug to these exact dimensions. A little dose of phosphate fertilizer is added to the bottom to give the roots a powerful head start. Then the plastic bag is gently sliced off. You have to be so careful not to shock the root system as the seedling is finally placed in its forever home.
Okay, once the palm is in the ground, that's when the 25-year relationship really begins. And just like any long-term commitment, it needs constant care and a really scientific approach to nutrition and maintenance to make sure it reaches its full potential.
You know, a growing palm has a changing appetite. It's kind of like us. As you can see here, in the first year, it needs a balanced formula that NPK stands for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium to build strong roots and leaves. But check out year 2 and beyond. The mix changes to be much higher in potassium, or POSH, to really push the flowering that leads to fruit. For mature palms, it gets even more precise, with fertilizer plans totally customized based on lab tests of their actual leaves.
And besides feeding, there's the constant upkeep. I mean, the work is never done. Young palms need the weeds cleared around them up to 6 times a year, all to stop competition for precious water and nutrients. And pruning off old, dead fronds, that's not just to make it look nice. It's critical for preventing disease and, just making it physically possible for harvesters to reach those valuable fruit bunches.
All right, every good story needs a villain. And in the world of palm oil, there are two major ones: a devastating internal fungus and a seriously powerful armored beetle. Protecting a 25-year investment requires a modern, really intelligent strategy. And that strategy is called Integrated Pest Management, or IPM. Now, this isn't about just blindly spraying chemicals all over the place. IPM is way smarter. It's a multi-layered defense that uses everything from good field hygiene to friendly fungi to fight back against threats in the most sustainable and effective way possible. So, the first major threat is a fungus called Ganoderma boninense, which causes basal stem rot. And trust me, it's as nasty as it sounds. It infects the base of the palm and basically eats the tree from the inside out, hollowing out the trunk until this massive tree just collapses.
And the economic damage? It's just staggering. This one disease can wipe out up to 80% of a plantation over the palm's productive life. For a farmer who's poured years of work and money into their land, that is an absolute catastrophe.
So how do you fight something like basal stem rot? With that IPM strategy, it's like a three-pronged attack. First, culturally, it means surgically removing and destroying any infected tree parts to stop the spread. Biologically, growers can actually introduce good fungi, like trichoderma, that attack and stop the bad fungus. And only as a final, last resort are targeted fungicides injected right into the trunk to try and save the tree.
The second major enemy is the rhinoceros beetle. And yeah, this thing is like a tiny armored tank. It bores right into the growth point of the palm, the spear, where all the new leaves come from. It doesn't always kill the tree, but it shreds the new leaves, which cripples its ability to photosynthesize and can seriously stunt or even kill young palms. The IPM strategy against this beetle is just incredibly clever. First, basic sanitation is key, getting rid of rotting logs where they love to breed. Growers also set up these pheromone traps that lure the adult beetles in, but the coolest technique is biological, spreading specialized viruses or fungi that only infect and kill the beetle larvae, leaving all the other good insects completely unharmed. It's pretty amazing.
So after years of careful breeding, nurturing, feeding, and defending the palms from all those threats, we finally arrive back where we started, the harvest. This is the moment of truth. And the harvest runs on an incredibly precise clock. It takes at least 2.5 years before a new palm can even produce its first harvestable bunch. Once a flower is pollinated, it's about 6 months for the fruit to get ripe. Harvesters then come back to the same tree about every 10 days. But the most critical number here is that last one. From the second a bunch is cut, a 24-hour clock starts ticking. So why the huge rush? Well, it all comes down to this number: free fatty acid, or FFA. As soon as that fruit is cut from the tree, the FFA levels start to rise. And if they go above just a few percent, the quality of the oil just plummets, and so does the price a farmer gets for it. After years and years of work, success or failure is measured in hours and single percentage points. The pressure is on. So the next time you see palm oil on an ingredients list, you'll know the incredible story of science and patience that's hidden inside. A 25-year journey from a single genetically perfected seed to a meticulously cared for tree, defended from microscopic fungi and armored beetles, all harvested against a ticking clock. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other everyday things we use are hiding a story this deep?